Would you like to start? You want me to
How
start?
do we do
I don't even know how to do this.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
All right, here we go. Episode 88 of the Play Pants podcast. That's Jason Ginty. My name is Rod Ryan, and I don't remember the last time we did one of these. It's been a couple of weeks. Beach Boy over here finally came off the sand.
Yeah.
And said he wanted to do a little podcast. So I said, okay, I'm down for it. So this is podcast 88. He's got all this mystery shit for me today, but he totally had me at, hey, you want to do a top 5 Iron Maiden songs? Well, yeah, one of my all-time favorite bands. So of course I want to do that. I want to talk about a movie that came out today in 1985.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then I want to bore the rest of our audience with a bunch of Buffalo Bills bullshit. But man, for the first time ever, a Buffalo Bills player is on the cover of Madden, EA Sports, Madden. I don't know what it is, but Josh Allen's on the fucking cover of a video game. That's the biggest thing you could possibly do.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And he actually, I follow him on Twitter now because why wouldn't I? And he said, hey, this is a lifelong dream. And I'm thinking to myself, being on the cover of Madden is a lifelong dream, but isn't he dating what's her name? Haley Stanfield?
I don't know. You know, Tessa on the show kind of keeps up with that bullshit because he had a girlfriend, right? That he was with for a long time. And then she's the one that told me, hey, I think your boy cheated. I said, I don't care. I don't care. I don't, because she really likes him. And then, yeah, this Haley Steinfeld or whatever. I don't know what he's doing. I don't care. I really don't. You know, I'm not watching Vanderpump Rules. I don't give a shit about that. But I am excited that a Buffalo Bill is on the cover. And that's the biggest thing that can happen to you. And when we were getting ready for this, you mentioned something about, well, you know, do we have to worry about any kind of a curse? Well, I mean, saying that you brought it up, there used to be, but the last 2 times that Mahomes was on the cover, he won the Super Bowl. So I think we're good.
Oh, that's right. Okay, because I always heard about the whole, once you're on the Madden thing, that's it. You ain't winning shit ever again. You're done,
That was a thing for a long time. For sure it was. But, there's been some really, like, great stories of the guy that's on the box cover having a great year. I want to say there was an MVP, the Ravens quarterback. So I think those days are over. So I think we're back unless we Buffalo it and then we start bringing back the curse.
Which, hey, I'm just saying, Buffalo does it sometimes or all the time.
I said that I didn't want to bore our audience with a ton of Buffalo Bill shit, but man, DeMar Hamlin had his first full practice, I think today. And I saw that all over the internet today. And that's amazing. I mean, the dude died on the football field. Now he's back playing, fighting for a spot on this Buffalo Bills team. I don't see how they couldn't sign him, but apparently they say he's fighting for a roster spot. So
damn, that's unbelievable.
Pretty damn exciting. I kind of thought the movie would be out by now, and it's not. So I don't know what's taking so long, but I mean, wouldn't you think they're going to do something with that? I mean,
there will be one, but writer strike, dude. Writer strike. Ain't nobody doing shit right now.
So there's that, and then maybe kind of waiting to see. Okay, does he come back and play? Does he have a really good season after having the absolute worst happen to him? But yeah, I do think that there's a movie in the works for sure. So that's it. I don't want to talk any more Buffalo Bill stuff. I just thought those were 2 really, really exciting things. You were at the beach.
I did.
What beach do you go to?
I go over to Pensacola, Florida. It's like a 3-hour drive from New Orleans, and it's a simple drive, and you're there in no time, and it's pretty mellow. It's not super busy, just enough. Like when I go to the beach, I don't like a lot of people go to the beach and they'll hang for like 2 hours, then they'll go shopping, go out to dinner, and just do all that shit. When I go to the beach, I'm there for one reason: count waves, dude. I don't do shit the whole time. I'm on the beach to look at the water, paddleboard, surf, whatever, hang out, fish, all of it. If I'm at the beach, I'm beaching. I don't go shopping. I don't do shit all. So
now you don't look overly tan. So and that's a good. Listen, I know you think I'm busting balls right now, but we can't be this. We cannot be in the sun, and that we can't have these domes in the sun. It looks like you must have used a lot of. I mean, for a guy that just got done telling me that you're at the beach the whole day, you're not super tan guy. If anyone's watching and want to see, his pasty white ass, he looks just as pasty as ever after a week at the beach. But you can watch this on our YouTube channel. But you're covering up and you're doing, are you being smart?
I'm a freak. I like for the last, I don't know, I would say at least 10, 15 years, I've been very good with the sunscreen.
Okay.
No, I think about growing up Gen X, dude. Did you ever even have sunscreen in your house? Anything over SPF 8?
My sister and my mom were in the backyard and they baby oil.
Yeah.
They'd be putting baby oil. My mom, baby oil in the back, laying out in the sun. And I'll tell you what, and I'm glad you look the way you do. I'm doing much better because I've got the kid and she's fish belly white like me. So I've got to slather her. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm putting it on her. I might as well put some on myself.
It's funny how you say that because what did I just say? For the last 15 years or so, I've been pretty good about sunscreen.
How old's your kid?
Buff, he's gonna be 15, and then of course my daughter, the same thing. She's much older, so really I've been a lot better because of my kids, and that's where it really came from. Because it was all about, you gotta put some sunscreen on the kid. If you go out to check the mail with your kid, you gotta layer them up with sunscreen. So I've gotten better. I got a 10. I'll sit under for quite a while. Spend a lot of time that way. I got a little tan, but nothing crazy. It ain't like the old days, dude. You got to be careful because I go to the skin doctor once a year and they're like, oh, it looks good, man. I'm like, thank God for that. And then, you go to those skin doctor once. From that point forward, you're a little freaked out. So you do a better job. But I've been good with it. So while I'm at the beach, right, I'm hanging. It's me, the wife, the kid. And then we had different family members kind of in and out throughout the week. We were there. In-laws come in, in-laws bail, brother-in-law's in, brother-in-law's out. And my brother-in-law, Gabriel, right? He actually, and I think he was giving us a compliment. I don't know if he was or not, but I'm pretty sure it was. He said, listen, I listen to every episode of your podcast, you and Rod. He goes, I love it.
What up?
Exactly. He goes, what's really cool about it is, he goes, I've hung out with you guys before. And he goes, your podcast for me is like hanging out with you guys, but I don't have to talk. He goes, it's just like hanging out with you guys once a week. He goes, I dig it. And then he went on, and anytime there's some sort of a compliment, especially from a family member or somebody you're close friends with,
here it comes.
Here it comes. You can see it, dude. You can feel it in the air. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, what's next? He goes, what the fuck, man? How come you guys never talk about Iron Maiden? All you guys talk about is Kiss, Van Halen, Foo Fighters, and Chris Cornell every episode. And I'm like, holy shit, he's right.
So it's him. So he's the reason we're doing the top 5 today?
So I go, dude, I'm going to do a motherfucking Iron Maiden top 5 for you this episode.
Are you 100% sure? I know the answer is no. Did you even think to look? I know the answer is no. Did you even ask Jordan Welch in the Machine? The answer is no.
Yeah.
You 100% that we've not done an Iron Maiden top 5?
I couldn't tell you. I just figured we'll do it again. What the hell? I'm sure it will change. I'm sure if we go back and do any of the lists we've already done, they're going to be different.
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have either, because it seems like that one would have been a monster because, it's a huge band. We've talked about them a few times. The whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I do not want to get into again, comes up, and then you get all mad.
You just brought it up.
I know. I'm an asshole.
Son of a bitch.
It's not why we're here. So we're here to not talk about the Foo Fighters, although that new album is pretty good. We can talk about that later. So, and then, Van Halen, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, it was funny to hear him say the compliment. I think it was a compliment, was like, the podcast is just like hanging out with you guys and I don't have to talk.
That's a nice compliment.
I go, I think that's good. I'm not sure, but he has hung out with us before, and he's seen the stupidity that happens when we do hang out. So I guess it's a cool thing. I don't know. So I thought we'd do the Iron Maiden thing. I know you've been wanting to do it. You've mentioned it a few times.
I love it.
One thing about Iron Maiden is I'm not the super fan. Like, I'm a fair weather fan of Iron Maiden. I've got a bunch of songs I listen to. I got a bunch of songs I like.
Yeah.
I've never seen them live, which I think is terrible. I want to.
Wow. I didn't know that about you.
Friend off. Never seen. Yeah, right. Friend off. Fuck me, man.
Friend off, dude. Wait a minute. You've never seen, you and I, we've never gone to Iron Maiden?
We were out of Buffalo and they didn't exactly come around a ton. And I was pretty young when they were in their peak 80, early 80s years. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I never saw them then, obviously. And then later on, it just never happened. I don't know if they didn't tour as much or whatever, because.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just never, the dots never connected. It's not like I don't want to go see them. If they came around, I'd be like, shit, yeah, I got to see them before I can't,
I have seen Iron Maiden 8 times.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah, they come around like every 3 or 4 years. And I go see them. And I go see them on a fucking school night, bro. So that's always kind of for me, like, oh, how much do you like this band? Well, okay, ask me if I would go see them during the week.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, U2, I went to go see them during the week. Iron Maiden during the week. Everybody else, no. No.
I was going to ask you, what's your list of bands you would go see during the week on a school night when you got to get up at fucking 3:00 in the morning and feed the chickens?
There's a bunch. I mean, again, because I've seen Iron Maiden 7, 8 times. If they came during the week, would I skip it? Maybe. I don't know. They're so great live. The thing about Maiden is they'll go out on tour and they'll come up with their set list. And then that's what they're doing. They create their set list for that tour. Mm-hmm. And they don't give a fuck if you love Aces High. They're not doing it, okay? Run to the Hills. They're not doing it right now. Like, I think right now, their set list, Run to the Hills, you're thinking, how could you possibly not do that song? They don't give a fuck, okay? They have so many songs, and they do play new stuff. So what they were doing years ago was every other time they would go on tour, they would tour on a new album. They'd play the shit out of that new album and then play some old stuff. Then the next time they'd go out on tour, it was all like greatest hits. So you'd almost go see them every other time for a while there.
Right.
They're a band that plays a lot of new music, though. When they have a new album out, and to their credit, people buy their new stuff. Iron Maiden and AC/DC are the 2 old rock bands, metal, that people will go out and buy their new stuff and absorb it and like it. Rolling Stones, when they were going out on tour all those years, they did put out an album. Nobody gave a shit.
No.
But Maiden puts out new music, man, and they play it live.
What's interesting about Maiden, and you've brought this up before, is that they when they do go on tour, they're playing either arenas or stadiums around the world. And you got to keep this. And it's funny because of what we do for a living. Nobody plays Iron Maiden on the radio. They get basically zero radio play in the United States. There's going to be your House of Hairs, the D. Snyders, and the Eddie Trunks of the world that'll play some Maiden. But I couldn't tell you too many radio stations that are playing. I could look it up and tell you that there's very little Iron Maiden airplay. And it's been like that for years. Yet they have no problem. And like you say, I think that's one of those bands that just doesn't give a shit. They don't care about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They don't care about radio airplay. They don't care about fucking playing their hits in a concert. And yet, look at their success. Look at everything they have. And one of the reasons why is because fucking great musicians.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
Because they're big all over the world, like Queen. Like the band, Queen was bigger everywhere else, but here in the US. They were bigger everywhere else. And they were pretty big here, but they were bigger elsewhere. Iron Maiden is just huge all around the world. They play these massive venues and sell out all of them. And they've done it year after year after year. So that thing that we're not bringing up that you've said at least 4 times already, for the love of God, why are they not in there? Okay.
I know they should be. And again, they don't give a shit. So what do you attribute to? How have they done it successfully without doing it in a traditional way? Is it just that they created such a fan base from the early days, right? And they had a lot of smashes and hits and stuff in the 82 albums, those albums in the early 80s. They were stacked. And they were touring hard. And then they just, after that, did you really pick up a lot of Iron Maiden after that? You know what I mean? Like, was it because of that era and it just stuck?
That had a lot to do with it. But the Maiden fans, like I said, them and AC/DC fans, they will go out and buy their new music and like it. And like I said, ingest it. I think Iron Maiden, they figured out the Matrix. They never over toured, but they certainly didn't under tour.
Right.
They toured perfectly where, you know what, man, it's been 3 years. I do want to see Iron Maiden again. Now keep in mind, if they're only coming around to us every 3 years, they're busy elsewhere around the world. Right. So I think they just kind of figured out the absolute perfect to not oversaturate themselves. Because I mean, we all know there's a lot of, bands do nothing but tour now. You know, I mean, bands do nothing. Yeah. For all I know, Bush is playing here tonight. I don't know. I mean,
probably are, because they play every fucking week there.
They played a couple of weeks ago, but you know, that's what bands do. I mean, and then you've got, you know, guys like Dave Matthews Band, who's not an international guy, but you know, he goes out and you know that there's people that go see Dave Matthews Band every summer, right?
Yeah.
And so he's kind of tapped into his audience. Iron Maiden being this international band, you only get to see them, you know, every 3 or 4 years. And it's just built up enough that it's like, you can't wait to see them again. And chances are they probably did put out a new album in that time. So
there's something there, though. There's a secret sauce, or there's some weird thing there, because it's not done the normal way. Because, you know, you look at, and I was just thinking as you're talking about this, I'm like, well, look, you know, Motley Crue and Def Leppard are out now. They're together. It's two bands. Neither one of these bands could do the stadium things without the other right now. You know, you're just not, Def Leppard's not playing stadiums. Motley Crue sure as shit isn't playing stadiums, because they've comboed with them and Poison and God knows who else. I don't know if they're selling these stadiums out, but it's still a stadium and you're still doing okay. But Motley Crue hasn't had a song in years, but they still get a shit ton of radio airplay on classic rock stations. So they have that going for them. If any of those guys are playing instruments anymore, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that band.
And I'll say this about Iron Maiden. They sound good. Dickinson can still sing his ass off.
Yeah.
And it needs to be said, they look really good. They're fit. They're in shape. I mean, Steve Harris and Bruce Dickinson look like they could go out and fucking play like a soccer match and stay in there the whole time. I mean, they're fit and they're moving around on stage, and that really helps because they look so cool still. Like, they look great. They're old guys, man, but they look amazing and they still move around on that stage. And the songs, they sound really good live, and they put on a show, you know. Right. They're not fucking, you know, you're never going to see one guy in the band standing there staring at his shoes. You know, I mean, not everyone's got their own thing. You know, obviously Bruce Dickinson is running all over the place, and Steve Harris got his fucking long hair, and he's got his foot up there on the monitor, and he's playing bass. I mean, they just put on a show. You know, you're waiting for Eddie to come out. Like, you know, you've never seen them, but at some point during the show, an 8-foot tall Eddie's going to come walking out on stage, and you don't know when. You know, it's just, they had these different elements, and right out of the gate, they got this fucking old time Airplane. You know, first song, dude. They're a throwback to what those old shows used to be like. They're still doing those types of shows, like how Dio, all those bands used to do these huge sets. Maiden still does this huge sets, multiple layer stages.
You know, I was looking up some shit, and you know, you got to keep in mind that Bruce Dickinson is a fucking enigma. Like, he's in one of the biggest bands in the world, rock bands of all time, right? Iron Maiden, that's pretty obvious. Probably one of the best metal bands of all time. The dude is an airline pilot, flew for an airline company, flew the what is it, Ed Force One, the Iron Maiden airplane for a couple of years on tour.
It's like an Iron Maiden 747.
He was flying. He's like, all right, boys, we're gonna go to the next city, and okay, I guess the singer's gonna fly the fucking thing, and that's what he was doing. He fences competitively. He's a fencer. You know, he's written multiple screenplays and books and shit. This dude ain't sitting around doing nothing. He ain't just singing in a rock band. This dude's he's unbelievable.
He's kind of like David Lee Roth without the big mouth. You know, Roth is like that. I mean, you know, Roth. wants to learn how to paint, he'll go over to Japan and study underneath somebody for 6 months to learn how to do it and then get tattooed. And I mean, David Lee Roth is kind of like that. He's just a little bit, goofier where, and it needs to be said, Bruce Dickinson is a cancer survivor too. So
yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's probably the biggest battle of his life that he conquered. And he's out there singing his ass off right now.
Well, there's that. And by the way, Gabriel, sorry about the David Lee Roth reference during Iron Maiden talk.
Oh,
I
I'm sorry.
apologize up front for that one. Sorry, man. But anyway, maybe we'll cut this part out.
But Roth is one of those, is a Renaissance man,
He absolutely is, but he buffoons the shit out of it. So that's what makes it, that's what makes it hard. And did you get, I know you're a big pinball guy. Did you know they had a pinball machine came out in 2018, Legacy of the Beast, Iron Maiden, pinball? Did you get that one yet?
Shit, I did not know that, nor did I need to know that.
You do now.
Came
out in 2018. There's not going to be a lot of them laying around, I bet.
I was online looking at that Foo Fighter one, and it's a sickness. Like I can't do the introductory model. I got to do like the high end one, and then it was already up to I don't know $16,000. Like nah. No, I'm like, I can't. I don't need it. I don't play the pinballs that I have that much.
And there's the Foo Fighters reference without even trying. See, sorry, Gabriel, about the Foo Fighters. Wow, we're really bombing on this one, dude. So yeah, we'll get to the top 5 Iron Maiden favorites. Mine are pretty much the hits. I'm sorry, man, but that's what I know. But hopefully I'll be enlightened on some deeper tracks. But before we get there, Rod, I don't know. You probably saw this week. A thing came out on what is it, classicrock.com, classicrockdaily.com. I don't know, it doesn't matter. And they kind of ran down a list of the worst cover songs, like classic rock songs redone modern times. Like a good one, not a bad version, is shit. We're gonna do this, aren't we? Because my brother-in-law also brought up the fact that we love Chris Cornell so much. So his version of Guns N' Roses' Patience, I view as a fucking great cover song. Okay. He smokes the shit out of that song.
One of the best cover songs of all time.
And I've said this before, I like his version better. That doesn't mean I don't like the Guns N' Roses version. I just happen to like his version better.
Where I've got into it with people is Shinedown and Simple Man.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm sorry. You know what? Fuck off. I'm not sorry. It's better. Okay. It's better than Leonard Skinner. It is. It's better. Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm not.
And you know what's great is I'm not a big Leonard Skinner fan because God knows why, but I like Simple Man. I like their version, but I really like Shinedown's version. I really like it a lot. So those are examples of good versions.
Right. Okay.
Cover. So
I'm trying to think of like shitty ones.
I'll give you one that you're going to be like, oh, yeah, fuck. Remember when Mick Jagger and David Bowie did Dancing in the Street?
The video is embarrassing. The clothing is of the time. What else you need to know? They look ridiculous. David Bowie David Bowie was just cool, right? Like he
didn't need to do this.
Thin White Duke, and he would kind of hang out, and Mick Jagger does all the Mick Jagger stuff. And Bowie kind of tried to do that. I was embarrassed for both of them.
I was too.
It's the worst cover song of all time. Is it number 1 on that list?
It's really not in an order.
Okay.
I think it probably could be. I remember going back, that came out in mid 80s, I think. That like played in the movie theaters, like in between or like they played that video of that song, and then it went into a movie, and I can't remember what it was. I'm just thinking of this now. But yeah, I think I saw it in the movie theaters back in the 80s when it came out. But yeah, even then I'm like going,
they might have this played it before Turner and Hooch.
Beetlejuice or some shit. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, the worst cover songs of all time. Do you remember during the pandemic when Wonder Woman tried to get a bunch of celebrities to sing Imagine?
That was just dumb. It was a fucking idea.
Everything was bad about it, right? And
there's nothing good about it.
And they got dragged a little bit for being, I mean, listen, I didn't think that was warranted. I do believe when somebody's intentions are good, I got to give them a little bit of a pass.
Right.
Now, these are celebrities. They're out of touch. We're all struggling during the pandemic and whatever. It was horrible. And I don't know. I don't know much about this Wonder Woman chick, but she got all these people to sing on this song, and it was so bad.
Yeah, I think her, like you said, her intentions were great, and my God, I do love Wonder Woman. But yeah, that was a fail.
Gail Godot.
Yeah, she's awesome. I like her. She's cool.
That's got to go down as one of the all-time worst cover songs ever.
And if she came over here, you know what I would do? Tell her straight to her face. But
how great it was.
She'd be here, so I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I would. Oh, it's so good. Can you sing for me now? The Cure does a version of Purple Haze. I did not know this. I have not listened to it yet. The Cure doing Purple Haze. I'm going to check it out because I have a curiosity. This could be interesting.
I'll tell you what. There were some good musicians in The Cure. Yeah. Did we go to Page Plant? You and I?
Yeah, they played here in New Orleans. Yeah, I believe we did. They were great.
No, in Buffalo.
I don't remember.
Page Plant in Buffalo. I feel like we went to that show.
Maybe.
And I want to say the rhythm guitar player might have been from The Cure. There were some good musicians in The Cure, man. So again, and nobody on the level of fucking Jimi Hendrix, but I just don't know how those vocals would work.
Yeah. Did they slow it way down? I mean, I didn't have a chance to listen to all this shit, but
okay.
I will check that one out. The Cure doing Purple Haze. Punch that up when you get a chance after the podcast is over. I didn't know that U2 did a version of Creedence Clearwater Revival's Fortunate Son.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. And what was it? What was it on?
Was that a soundtrack or something? Or
yeah, I feel like it was on some compilation.
I gotcha.
Farm Aid or something, or
like, is it bad?
I don't remember it being horrible, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Coming from a U2 fan, and Bono doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes to me, so I don't remember it being horrible.
I could see, because the message is all about war, and why do you send the poor off to the war, all that thing. I can see why he chose that song, and maybe there was a reason behind it. But
that's in Bono's space to do that. Like the subject matter, it's not out of character for him. Hey, is this? I'm thinking of this list that you're talking about. Was Disturbed Sound of Silence on there?
I was getting to that in just a second. Yeah, that one was on there as a bad cover song, and I'm like, are you
wrong?
Fucking high? Because that is unbelievable.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sick of it. Okay. Yeah. I'm sick of it. David Draymond can sing his ass off. Disturbed is not my favorite band. That cover, that was one of the ones that I fought to get played on my radio station. I had to convince Radio Wizard. I go, dude, we have to be playing this. It's amazing. I would say that it would be on a list of all-time great covers.
Yeah, I don't agree with that one, because I think that one is a home run. I mean, that's one of the greats, and again, the Simon and Garfunkel is great, but man, I could listen to this one any day, and just the way he builds the vocals, and by the end of it, he's grinding his vocals, and it's badass, and he's hitting the notes, and you're like, holy, because every Disturbed song is the same song. It really is. I like Disturbed. Don't love them, but I like them. This is way different, and he nails it.
And he gets a chance to stretch his voice a little bit, and you can hear how theatrical his voice can be.
Yeah.
I think it's an all-time great cover, even though I'm absolutely taxed on it, because we've played the shit out of it. It's I gotta remember. It's like, okay, it's your fault, Rod, that we're playing this song 50 times a week.
Careful what you asked for.
3 years.
Yeah,
at least 3 years, huh? 4 years.
Yeah, it's a few years old now. There's two from a certain band that I don't like or hate them. Limp Bizkit did George Michael's Faith, which really kind of put them on the map.
I love that song.
I knew you did. Yeah,
I
like
love that version.
I think it's great. I think it's because it's so over the top.
So the other one's got to be Behind Blue Eyes.
Yeah, and I didn't mind that one. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
That was with the fucking Speak and Spell.
Yeah, which I thought was clever.
It was weird. It was all right. Fucking Faith is amazing. I think it's amazing. I really do. That's another one that it's an all-time cover song for me.
Yeah.
Have we done our favorite cover songs of all time? That sounds like something we would have done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have, but we could go revisit it, I'm sure.
I'll tell you what, that's a top 10 for me. That's a top 10 cover song, and it's on the list of shitty ones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, this is the list of bad ones according to Classic Rock Magazine or classicrock.com, whatever the fuck it
All
is.
right. Give me a few others.
I got three more. All right. We'll do Marilyn Manson doing Sweet Dreams. They say it's terrible. It's fucking great.
It's awesome.
It put
this
him
list
on the
blows.
map. It's awesome. Okay, here's one, and I think you like it. I know I still like it. I'll throw it on every once in a while in a mix when I'm chilling. Saturday Nights, All Right for Fighting, Nickelback featuring Kid Rock. It just fucking smokes. It smokes.
People love to shit on Nickelback. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it at all. Okay. I mean, 50 million albums. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I think it's a good version. I like it. It's way rock and it's fucking in your face. It's good. And then this one for the kids. If you've seen Shrek, you know this song, Smash Mouth, the Monkey song, I'm a Believer. Okay. I don't love or hate,
but they're laughing all the way to the bank on that and All Star, and they have 3 Shrek songs.
I guess I don't know, but man, they made some money off of Shrek. They made some money off of that fucking green booger dude, whatever he does.
Yeah. I mean, Smash Mouth is Smash Mouth. I mean,
what it is.
They're Smash Mouth. I don't know what to say about them. They're nice guys. I'd say that. Steve is a really nice guy, but they are what they are, and that song is perfect for them.
You know what? We did the top 5 cover songs because that's where that Chris Cornell song came from. What the hell's the sound called? I fucking play it all the time still.
Stay With Me, Baby.
Yes, that's where that came from. That's where that lit up. And here we are talking about Chris Cornell again.
So that was in my top 5 cover songs of all time. And you're like, what song? I go, dude, it's the last song on No One Sings Like You Anymore. I go and listen to it. Don't even say another word to me. Just go listen to this song.
Yeah. And I did. And I still listen to it all the time because it's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's so good, man. So yeah, I just wanted to throw those at you because like those are
that list
songs.
Sucked.
And well, you got to get clicks, dude. You got to get clicks.
So I just put up just on my own, my sister and I, we love cover songs. And I know you know the band, the Headstones.
Yeah.
From Hamilton, I believe, Ontario. And they did the Edmund Fitzgerald. And I'm gonna just throw this out. I hate giving you homework, but I'll send it to you. And they changed it. So overall, I mean, just as a sweeping remark, would you rather them stay true to the original or completely reimagine it as themselves, which we're thinking that maybe The Cure did, Just what's your preference?
I mean, well, I guess it depends on how it turns out. I know that's a fucking shitty answer, but if you look at what Chris Cornell did with Patience, okay, it's pretty much there, but he ain't doing the whistling shit. And he did change some things around. I think he did it enough to make it kind of his own. I think he did things to improve it, at least in my opinion.
But there's a lot of respect for the original.
Absolute respect. I'm trying to think of another version that's really changed something. Marilyn, the ones we just talked about, Marilyn Manson didn't really change it. He just sang in his own fucked up voice. Limp Bizkit didn't change shit, really, just heavier. Dance in the Street, they didn't rearrange that shit. I know there's a million songs they like slowed way down.
Well, again, I'm sorry, Gabriel, but I'm going to bring up Kiss. So there was a Kiss My Ass album.
Love that.
That came out a long time ago. Garth Brooks did Hard Luck Woman, which he kept that one pretty true. But whatever song Toad the Wet Sprocket did,
Rock and Roll All Night.
They Toad the Wet Sprocketed it and they reimagined it, made it theirs. And it was such a ballsy move that I liked it. Okay.
It is great.
So the Edmund Fitzgerald, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, we just lost Gordon Lightfoot recently. Mm-hmm. And he's a Canadian icon. There's a Canadian band out there called the Headstones. And I imagine in Canada, that's kind of in that Stairway to Heaven, probably, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's a big, big song. And they changed the tempo. They changed a lot. And Sue didn't like it. And I said, listen to it a couple more times. And it just didn't grow on her. But it was an example of a band taking a song and taking a chance and saying, okay, this is how it plays through our lens and our filter. And you're right. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
What's the fuck? It'll come to me. Jimi Hendrix did Bob Dylan's song and completely changed it. Not, but Bob Dylan. Oh, what the fuck was the song? Jesus, I'm an idiot. I've only played it 10 trillion times on the radio. It'll come to me in a minute. Bob Dylan does the song originally.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Yeah.
Said the Joker to the thief, right?
So he just took it, sped it up, and put the guitar solos in it and changed it and made it his own.
Mm-hmm.
He really changed Dylan's version, kept the lyrics the same and stuff, rearranged it, made it his own. So that I thought was way better than what Dylan did. You know, there are examples of that. So again, it's got to work. I mean,
one of the greatest songs of all time, the song Hallelujah. Okay.
Right.
The guy that did the song, Canadian dude,
Leonard Cohen.
He's the Lou Reed of Canada. So he kind of like talks and sings at the same time. Like, I can't stand it.
Baritone voice, real deep.
Yes. And I do believe it's one of the greatest songs of all time because he wrote it and he performs it. But when Jeff Buckley did what he did to it, he took one of the greatest songs ever written and made it one of the greatest songs of all time.
Yep.
Jeff Buckley said, this is how I hear this song and this is how it should be done. And that is always my argument when people give me shit, about Simple Man. A cover can be better than the original. Some people just feel, well, it wouldn't be possible, Rod. If the original didn't exist, the cover wouldn't exist. You're right on that, but it still doesn't quench my thirst. You're not making sense to me. The cover can be better than the original.
You know what? You evolve, you get better. Sometimes an idea can be expanded on. No one's, you can write a great song. It could be a perfect song at that moment. Someone else can come along and have a different opinion, different viewpoint of it and go, oh, you know what I would do instead? I would do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And then boom, you're like, oh shit, that is way better. Look at Hound Dog from Elvis Presley to go back. That was an old Mama Thornton song. Old huge black woman used to sing it, and she sang it real slow, and it comes from her being pissed off at her dude. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. He's out playing around, you know what I mean? And then he takes it and spins it around a whole different song. You know what I mean? So there's a million examples now that I'm thinking about them. Just depends on how it works, because there are some shit ass examples out there too that don't work. Madonna does a version of American Pie. Fucking shit. It's terrible.
That was shitty. And then and we talked about Lenny Kravitz a couple of podcasts ago, or maybe the last podcast, American Woman. I never understood why people liked it so much. I don't like the original song either. I mean, I'm just not a fan of it. I just didn't think that he did anything special for it to be one of his biggest hits of all time,
Yeah. It's weird, you being Canadian and all, and then not liking the original, the Guess Who were from Canada.
I can take that from the fucking idiots on my show, not from somebody that grew up 20 minutes from me, dick.
That makes me Canadian too, I guess. It's all we ever fucking talk about is Canada on this program. Apparently, we've talked about everything that I wasn't supposed to bring up twice as much. Don't ever complain about this, because we will fucking go back on it hard.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Anyway, I guess I gotta go listen to Purple Haze from Cure, and I gotta go listen to Fortunate Son from U2 just to see how bad they are, because that could be some more homework, man. And then
by the way, it's all along the watchtower for the guy that's calling in right now going, God damn it, don't you guys know the name of your music over there?
Not all the time.
I'm not the biggest fan, but his name was already brought up. What's his name that I just said plays every summer?
Dave Matthews.
he does a pretty good version of All Along the Watchtower. And he'll do it live occasionally. That son of a bitch doesn't care about playing singles. That son of a bitch doesn't care about what he does live, but he will do that a lot. He does play that a lot.
Johnny Cash doing Hurt.
Pretty good.
Johnny Cash doing Hurt. Fucking didn't really change it. Took all the fucking industrial shit off it, the Nine Inch Nails version, but made it more painful. Like really made it painful.
Unpopular opinion, not as good as the original.
No,
it's great. It's great. Everyone loves it. Johnny Cash's Rusty Cage is fucking badass too. Not as good as the original. It's just not. Hurt is amazing. The video, the black and white, the super close up of his face, everything about it,
brilliant.
Because he's such an old guy at the time that he does it. It was amazing. Not as good as the original.
You say it's not as good as the original, but you know what it did for me is that I did love it and I still love it, but it made me go back and appreciate Hurt, because I never was a huge fan of Hurt. I'm like, this mopey shit. And then he fucking hits a guitar chord at the end. I'm like, what the fuck?
Did you ever see that performed live?
Oh, well, that's a whole different game. That's the best fucking shit you're ever going to see.
You saw Nine Inch Nails perform that song live?
Yeah. That is a game changer, man.
That's what did it for me.
That's a game changer, man. Yeah. So anyway, that's another version. But Johnny Cash's version and then seeing it live made me go back and appreciate the original Hurt from Nine Inch Nails. Weird. I know.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break. And then I want to come back and talk about real quick. I want to talk about a movie that came out on this day in 1985. I want to see what the movie means to you. And then we'll get into our top 5 Iron Maiden songs.
Yeah, I like it, dude. I like it.
Well, next time you visit New Orleans, man, make sure you book the pirate tour. I was walking around New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. I was looking for some pirates. It's a French Quarter walking tour. There's a bunch of walking tours in New Orleans. I saw a million of them. This one is a little bit different, man, because you're discovering like real pirate history of New Orleans. And you'd be amazed at like how the pirates, their involvement with the formation of the city. It's unbelievable. Book your tour, piratesofthequarter.com. And there's a great merch shop now, piratesofthequarter.com. Okay. They've got a page up with the t-shirts and all the stuff. Piratesofthequarter.com, kick-ass t-shirts for sale. If you're heading to New Orleans anytime soon, anytime over the summer, man, book your tour. They are highly rated. I mean, I see the high ratings all over the place. Everything is at piratesofthequarter.com. Follow them on social media at Pirates of the Quarter.
I was out last weekend and doing a tour, and I had a group of people on the tour from Scotland. And what's interesting about giving a history tour of an old city here in the United States, of the New Orleans, is when you're out there, and 98% of the people who take tours are from the United States, But when you start doing a tour from Europe, and you're like, oh yeah, this building was built in the 1770s. It's super old. And people from Europe are just going, bullshit. That's a baby.
Yeah.
New. And you're like, oh yeah, 1300s over there and shit. It's funny.
Yeah, New Orleans celebrates, they recently turned 300 years old. People in Europe laugh at that.
They're like, oh, you guys are so cute and new. You still got your diapers on, right? You still got your diapers, right? Like, it's funny to do that.
Why don't you come over to my house, little pirate boy? I got a nice castle you might want to see across the street from my house.
1770s. Bitch, I'm drinking in bars from the 1100s. Shut up. It's just funny to think about the perspective.
Dude, on this day in 1985, Goonies came out. Was it a big deal in 1985?
Yeah, I don't think 85. What am I, fucking like 6? No, 85. I don't think I saw it in the theaters. I think I was a late bloomer to the Goonies. I came to it years later. All my friends were talking about it. I remember that. I saw it. I loved it.
I'm 15 years old. I go to the theater to see it. It's a big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal. I remember them. I remember the TV commercials, and it really made it. They must have run them when 15-year-olds and kids were watching television. They're going to target those times, Saturday mornings. They must have run it during fucking wrestling. I don't know what I'm doing at 15, but man, this was on TV all the time. You needed to see this movie. And it was the summer and everything. Dude, 1985, mind-blowing. Okay. So Goonies comes out today in 85. Also in 1985, Mad Max and Thunderdome.
Wow.
Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, Fletch, Cocoon, Pee-wee, Rocky IV, Real Genius, which is an amazing movie. I did not see that in the theaters.
No.
Better Off Dead, Fright Night, Return of the Living Dead. Those are a few of my favorite movies of all time. That's 1985. What a fucking year, man.
What a crazy year. I was just...
They wanted me. In 1985, they wanted me in the theater. That's what's cool about... That's what's cool about all that shit. Well, like they wanted me?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, think about the Goonies, though, man. Like, those kids are all, what are they, like 10, 12, 14? So if you're in that age bracket, you're like, that's me and my buddies. Like, when you saw the Goonies, like, even I showed my kid a couple of years ago Goonies. I'm like, dude, you gotta watch this movie. He's like, oh God, it's from the 80s. It's gonna be dumb. I'm like, no, it's gonna be kind of dumb. And he's watching, he's laughing his ass off because he could relate to the age group. Now, yes, the bikes and the clothes were a little bit different, obviously, and everything else, but same concept. You and your dopey buddies getting together, nosing around where you're not supposed to be, and next thing you know, you're off doing a fucking adventure. How many times would you do shit like that? That never kind of went that far. Yeah. But you could so relate to 90% of that shit in the movie. And I didn't know this, and maybe you do. I was just listening to an interview the other day, and someone said there's like this lost scene from the Goonies that it's this octopus scene.
Oh, I don't know this.
It's cut from the movie. It's out there. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, but apparently it's this cool scene or it's something with an octopus that they cut out for whatever reason. I don't have any damn details, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring this shit up. So never seen it. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure you can go find it. I don't know the backstory on it, why it was cut out.
But you don't think you went to go see Goonies in the theater?
I don't think so, because I'd have been like 13. You know, my parents, you know, if we're going to go to the movies, we're all going to the movies when I'm 13. You know, my brother had been like 10. So it had been a family thing. And my mom's probably like, I'm not going to go fucking watch that.
I just thought of it. You know where they advertised the shit out of it? MTV. That's what it was, because Cyndi Lauper. The Goonies song. So there was that tie-in. I mean, Cyndi Lauper was as huge as it, you know,
massive.
You know, she was massive, you know, and then she had the wrestling thing before that and all of that. So there's no doubt in my mind that Goonies was that commercial had to run nonstop 24/7 on MTV. You know, in 85, that's probably the channel I'm watching the most. If I have the TV on, I'm watching MTV. If I had cable at that time. 85, finally.
I think we did, yeah.
I don't know, dude. I used to go over to my grandma's house until, I might not have had MTV yet. I don't remember when we got it, but we got it late.
Did Canada get cable before the States? Is that why you
fuck off, dude? You grew up 20 minutes from me. If I'm Canadian, you're fucking Canadian.
Hey,
okay?
Go Leafs, bro. Let's go drink some Labatt's. Yeah.
You're out there on the beach drinking straight maple syrup, bitch.
You know, I gotta be honest. I've become a maple syrup snob.
Oh, geez. You're Canadian. You're more Canadian than I am, jackass.
I mean, I got the maple leaf on the front porch right now, hanging out there. No, man, I used to just buy the Aunt Jemima or whatever and squirt that shit on there, and that was good enough. No, man, I got turned on to some like decent syrup. It tastes way different. It's way better. Anyway, let's talk some Iron Maiden, dude. Come on, you're the expert on this band. I come to it from a fair weather fan. I love them, but I've never seen them live. And my top 5 is going to be pretty generic.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty much hit driven or, you know, most popular songs. Because what I know.
Then let's roll through your hits. Because, I mean, I got hits. I got hits on my list.
I'll start with number 5, going back to 1983's Peace of Mind, The Flight of Icarus. Love it.
Oh, it's a great song.
Great fucking song. A little slower, but I like it. Going back to Power Slave, 84. 2 Minutes to Midnight.
Oh, that's a fucking great song.
First of all, great song, but it freaks me out because it's like 2 minutes to midnight. Like that clock moves, and you're like, you start fucking getting in your head a little bit, man. You're like, oh man, shit, this is heavy.
The doomsday clock.
The doomsday clock, yeah, it freaks me out.
It's 1984. I don't know what the fucking doomsday clock is.
No idea.
Iron Maiden is smart. They're very smart. They go to literature for these stories. You know, they're not singing about like these metal topics of the time. And it's so different from Judas Priest. This was like intelligent. I mean, the music, it wasn't like math rock. It was just metal. But it came from a place of intelligence. These guys were well read. They knew their shit, and they were pretty young, you know, when they were writing these things. This is going all the way back to the first Iron Maiden album. They're smart guys, man. They're well written. I mean, a lot of this stuff, Flight of Icarus, these are literary stories.
Yeah, they just spun off of them and made their kind of their own thing, or kind of told their story in their own way, which is brilliant shit. And you know what, you think about it now, you look back and go, oh yeah, well, that's brilliant. At the time, they're just a bunch of long-haired dudes with a fucking monster Eddie dude crawling around the stage. You know, that's what you looked at, you know, and it was shredding guitars and high screams, and you're like, cool. But now when you listen to it with a different ear and you listen to the lyrics, you're like, shit, this is really good.
They're smart.
Yeah. 1983, Peace of Mind, The Trooper. Come on, The Trooper, dude. Fuck, I need to go listen to Iron Maiden tonight. Probably the wrong thing to listen to before bed. I'll be all fired up.
That's arguably their best logo. I mean, we should have fought over album covers on this one too. The Trooper. That's where Eddie. It's got the flag. It's all tattered and torn, and he's like walking through the ruins, and you know, like in a battle on a battlefield. And that's their beer too, which, you know, I'm not a big beer snob. Of course, it's cool to drink Iron Maiden's beer. But what's badass is being in London and on tap, Trooper. At the pubs, Trooper on tap.
Ooh, that is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. You know, that going back to our earlier conversation about Iron Maiden is like, what's the secret sauce? Well, they kind of like nailed everything. They got everything right because their artwork, their album covers, back when you bought shit on vinyl still in the early 80s, the album covers were pieces of art, and they used Eddie, and they just changed Eddie and all the different stuff over the years. They just whatever their theme was of that album, he would adapt that, but it was still Eddie all the time, you know?
You could not wait to what they were going to do next. Like, oh my God. And then on the album covers, the guy that did the artwork, his name escapes me right now, but he used kind of like Prince. He used a symbol for his name. And just like the Playboy bunny is always hidden on all the covers of Playboy magazine, maybe somebody's learning that for the first time. Every Playboy magazine cover has the rabbit ears on there somewhere. Sometimes it's really hidden. Sometimes the girl's wearing a necklace. But you would, on the Iron Maiden album covers, you would look for his signature, and he would hide it.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like a circle with an arrow beneath it. I used to be able to draw it, but it was always hidden somewhere. And that'd be the first thing. Iron Maiden had a new album out. You'd go to Cavages or Record Town or whatever.
Sam's in Canada.
Yes. And Sam the Record Man. And you'd grab that record, and you would just start you'd start looking, where's the fucking artist signature? Yeah. So cool.
But those are the little chunks of secret sauce that they had the whole thing figured out. You know, they really did. Going back to our earlier conversation, that's what makes sense to me. Number 2, Run to the Hills. What a great story inside of that song too. At first time, back in the 80s, when I heard it, I didn't know what the fuck it was about. I'm just like, yeah, Run to the Hills. And then I started listening to the lyrics. I went, ooh, shit. Driving the natives out. Wow, this is big. This is heavy shit. So right, going back to your other point, intelligent music. It really was, or is. Number 1, The Number of the Beast. Dude, come on. 666.
That was the scariest shit ever.
That was awesome.
That was the absolute scariest shit ever. And that was truly something that and Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil.
Yeah.
Probably the only 2 times that my mom said, what the fuck are you listening to? You know, with all the Ozzy and all the Kiss and everything else, I do believe that the only two times my mom was kind of like, what the fuck is happening over there? I mean, 666. And everybody just assumed that they were Satanists, you know, and then of course that's, you know, that was they got kind of strapped with that. And
you think about the time period, okay? That comes out, Number of the Beast comes out in 82, so it's popular in 83. You know, Motley Crue's that came out in 83, so you had Shout of the Devil. It's like the same time period. So you that might have been the thing that kicked the whole metal thing into the Satan stuff, you know, really. If you think about those two songs being out relatively close, that kind of set the tone.
You know, people accuse Black Sabbath of getting into the occult and stuff like that earlier.
Jimmy Page even, but these
correct.
two songs back to back, like you said, that's a lot of Satan shit all in the same like year and a half time period.
Yeah, there was a lot of devil coming to the forefront at that time. And
Ronnie James Dio, you know.
Hell yeah.
Devil horns.
And the parents, like I said, those two songs, because there wasn't, you know, the Walkman hadn't come out yet. So there wasn't personal listening. It's hard to get across to somebody that's a little bit younger. Whatever you were listening to, other people were hearing what you were listening to.
So if you're hearing 666.
Yeah, like I'm fucking playing the cassette in my house, and my mom's like, "What the fuck is on my?" You know, it's my mom's stereo. Yeah. My mom's like, "What the fuck is on my stereo right now?"
Are you playing that backwards or is that forward? No, that's forwards. That's how it's supposed to be, Ma. Sorry, I'm fucking. Where's my devil horns? We're painting some shit and we're putting some things in the backyard.
Yeah, that and Shout at the Devil. Just what? And then you know. Shout out to she looks at the album cover and she's like, what the
upside
fuck?
down star.
Jesus Christ, a pentagram. And then these guys all painted up. I mean, she'd already, you know, she was cool with Kiss. My mom liked Kiss. But those two songs being played in the house at a high level, that was the only time my mom ever seemed a little concerned about what I was listening to.
You know, just sitting here talking about it right now out loud, it's like you start doing the math and you can see, you know, like we said, Ozzy, Dio, you know, Motley Crue, 666, you know, the Number of the Beast, all in that same time period. You can see why metal just fucking had it fed to itself. And it was all circumstance. Nobody was plotting it out. No, Bruce Dickinson is not calling up fucking Nikki Sixx going, dude, you got to release that song, Shout at the Devil. We're going to fuck with everybody. It was just luck. And plus, of course, think about it. You're 16, 17, 15 years old. You're going to gravitate to this shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's what you're all about. You know, bad. Ooh, it's bad. Parents hate it. Well, then I'm going to love it.
Yeah. I'm 14. The devil's very hot. I'm 14 years old. Devil's very, very hot at that time.
Very hot. Really? I wonder why. All right. Well, there's my 5 songs, top 5 favorites from Iron Man. What do you got, man? I want to hear this.
Okay. So, number 5, The Trooper, Peace of Mind. You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. I mean, Peace of Mind is the first cassette that I wore out. Meaning,
wow,
it had snapped a couple of times. I had gotten out the Scotch tape. I had gotten the pencils. You could take the screws and you could perform a full-on surgery if you had to. You could take a cassette apart in half.
Oh, yeah.
The thing was taped up so many times, Jason. It's the first time I ever bought. Here's my little piece of trivia. The first piece of music I ever had to buy twice. Peace of Mind. Because I wore out the cassette. I wore it out. I played it so much. And that was the first cassette I owned that was an XDR. Ooh. It was a chrome looking cassette. XDR stood for expanded dynamic range. And I'm going to talk about the little sound effect beforehand because that's coming up on another song. All right. So The Trooper, in at number 5, in at number 4, Run to the Hills is the quintessential Iron Maiden song. And for me, for it to be a quintessential Iron Maiden song, you got to have Steve Harris. And he's just fucking, he's humping the whole time. He's trotting. Yep. He's trotting on his bass guitar. And he does that on a million songs. but it never gets old. And he's the chief songwriter too. But when he is doing that, Run to the Hills is a quintessential Iron Maiden sound to me. And a lot of it has to do with Steve Harris on his bass and the way that he rides the bass.
And what's cool about that song is because of what it is, the Run to the Hills, the way the tempo is, it feels like a horse galloping.
Yes,
it really does. And it's one of those songs that everything works.
It's his bass line. Yeah. And that guy has never even heard the word pick. Fucking fingers. You know, like Geezer Butler. These guys, they didn't use a pick, you know? I can't imagine somebody's fingers moving that quickly. Yeah. To watch Steve Harris play the bass is unbelievable. I know we did best bass players. I know that we probably both had him in our top 5, as well as like Geezer Butler and stuff, because these guys, they're just unbelievable at their instruments. So number 4, Run to the Hills. Number 3, Iron Maiden, the name of the band. Iron Maiden, the name of the album. Iron Maiden, the name of the song, last song, and that's what their original singer. I feel like I had to grab something from the first 2 albums.
Right.
So as much as I love Bruce Dickinson, and he was the perfect guy for the band, but you can't discount those first 2 Iron Maiden albums because you still got Steve Harris, you still got the whole band, but Paul Dianato or something like that. What's cool about it is this is how you know it's Steve Harris's band. They still do songs currently on tour. They play Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden.
Wow.
I've never not seen them play that. That's from the very first album, a different lead singer, a completely different era of the band. But for Steve Harris, it's all Iron Maiden, you know?
Right.
For him, you know, they do Wrathchild from the second album. They do Running Free off the first album. They do not. They know that the fans love, and this is another thing. Add this to your why are they so successful? Because they know the fans want to fucking hear that stuff. Okay, and you know, Bruce is a far superior singer, but they don't pretend that those 2 albums didn't happen. There's great stuff on those albums, and I don't know. I just felt like if we're doing a top 5, I mean, how many bands besides Iron Maiden and Motorhead have songs with the band's title?
That's pretty unique. Black Sabbath.
Right? Black Sabbath. And Black Sabbath. You're right. That first Iron Maiden album is borderline punk. It's really cool to see the evolution of how they were coming into themselves. But that lead singer, man, he was a skinhead like 4 years before he was in Iron Maiden. So it's a punk influenced metal rock album. Those first 2 albums, Iron Maiden and Killers, I wanted to mention something off of there. So that's number 3. In at number 2, back to the cassette, Peace of Mind, expanded dynamic range. You would put it on and it would go boop, 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 boop. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. That's crazy. But you had to have a certain cassette.
You had the XDRs, and I think they probably they dinged you like $1 more because it was an expanded dynamic range. And I mean, if you think about it, the shittiest audio you could possibly get. Well, 8-track was probably worse, right? But cassette was the worst audio quality, but it was so portable. It was so great.
Yep.
So they led us to believe, because you know, you probably, when you were doing all your little home recording and stuff back in the day, you bought those Chrome tapes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Chrome. Oh, I'm putting this on. Oh, I'm going to record this. This is going on my Chrome tape that I got at Radio Shack.
I'm going to put it on this high quality piece of tape, and I'm going to play it out of my shitty boom box that I've dropped off my bike 40 times. It's going to sound great.
I just got a 3-pack of BASF Chromes.
I got me some Techniques, man.
Yes.
They're going to sound fucking great.
So
TDKs, that's what it was. TDKs.
TDKs, those were big. Those were expensive too.
That's all I never get though, because I cared about the quality.
So for Iron Maiden, it wasn't a needle drop. My first Iron Maiden wasn't a record. My first Iron Maiden was Peace of Mind in '83, and it was the cassette. Expanded dynamic range. They've got a brand new drummer in the band, Nico McBrain. The other drummer was great. But you put on the cassette, boop, 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 boop. Oh, this is an XDR. And then you hear, holy shit, they got a fucking new drummer. Why don't you fucking open up the song and why don't you let everybody know that you're in the band now? The first song on Peace of Mind is Where Eagles Dare. And it's fucking amazing. And it's all because of that drum intro. Damn. So little Rodney Ryan gets his cassette, goes down in the basement and just practices for hours to try to do it. That guy probably, Nico McBrain probably influenced me more on the drums than any other drummer. There's people that would say, well, it was Neil Peart did this for me and this drummer did this and this. Nico was my biggest influence by far. My number one, Wasted Years.
Oh, I did forget about that.
From Somewhere in Time. And it's an interesting song because the subject matter, it's not literary and it's not the devil. And it's about them being out on the road and kind of missing home and too much time on my hands. You got to realize that you're in the golden years. Why does it sound so different? Adrian Smith wrote it. He wrote the song and he wrote the lyrics. And it's unbelievable. It sucks because Steve Harris should have the number one Iron Maiden song on my list. But Wasted Years has always been, since it came out, Power Slave, since it came out, or no, Somewhere in Time. As soon as that came out, I was like, this is my fucking all-time favorite. It's such a great song. And it's them. They didn't sing about being a rock band, and it was them singing about being a rock band. And it was really weird subject matter for them.
Well, that's what most bands will sing about. If you notice, it's like, cause you're stuck on the tour bus, you're going to write what you know. What do you know? Sitting on a tour bus and being out on the road, missing your dog and your goldfish and your family.
It was kind of like their up-tempo Home Sweet Home. It was weird that they were singing about stuff that normally I didn't understand. I had to go look up their songs. I used to do that. You went to the library and you go and you'd look up the stuff. Like, what is Iron Maiden talking about right here? Right.
I think, it's funny. I'm just thinking about this. And you go back to, I believe it was 84, maybe 83. When did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure come out? I guess is what I'm getting at.
It wasn't 85. So it might've been the year before.
It was in that wheelhouse, in that mid 80s deal. But they had a funny bit where like they go back in time. And if you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert.
Oh boy.
They're going back in time by using a fucking souped up phone booth. Okay. Whatever. They go back in time and then they're back in whatever year it was. And they were fucking up. So these guards are like, okay, put them in the Iron Maiden, which is a torture device. Right. And they're like, excellent. They do the little guitar. And they're like,
yes.
Fuck yeah. I'm like, the Iron Maiden reference and all the rock star references in that movie. Great. I just happen to think of that now. Sorry.
Yeah. Even the name itself is like it's a historical thing.
It's the Iron Maiden,
right?
What a great fucking name for a band.
Pretty awesome.
I mean, it's iron, it's metal, it's heavy, it's fucking thick, it's dark, it's awesome. Yeah.
So you mentioned that Henry's 14.
Yeah.
So Peace of Mind comes out when I'm 14 years old.
Jesus.
And I'm 53 and I'm talking about a piece of music that I bought when I'm Henry's age.
Crazy.
Is there something that he listens to now that he loves and super passionate about that he's going to, as a 50-year-old man, say, man, I remember this and I still love it? I mean, I know everything's different now. I don't know. I mean, are we just, I don't know. I mean, we didn't have as much. He's got everything. So much coming at him.
Yeah.
But this is what I had coming at me, and this is what you had coming at you. In 1983, I'm 14. I'm Henry's age. Okay. I'm on my second Peace of Mind cassette. Pyromania.
Wow.
Def Leppard. That's where I come into. That's where I find out about Def Leppard. Okay.
Right.
Bark at the Moon cassette. Shout at the Devil cassette.
Oof.
Quiet Riot. Mental Health.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one. Rat. Last in Line.
Nice.
Dude, what a fucking year. That I'm in heaven. I'm 14 years old and just this metal I'm showering in it. It's fucking pouring over me.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to have something that you like and it's just coming at you like a fire hose.
Yes.
Over and over and over again.
But
that's pretty spectacular.
You talk about, where are you going to formulate what you like for the rest of your life? And, I got to say this era right here. And then when you and I were kind of going through that whole thing with grunge and the takeover of alternative music, those are probably the two most important times of my life. I'm 22 years old and I'm 14 years old. It doesn't get fucking better than all the shit that I'm listening to. And I'm just wondering, is Henry going to take this stuff, or is there just too much of it? Is there too much of everything? Because the one thing that's different, and I'll let you answer, is I made up my mind that I liked this genre and I liked metal. And kids don't care about, they like everything. You know what I mean? Like, Henry might, it'd be very cool for him to like the new Taylor Swift album. It doesn't matter. Kids don't care. You don't get picked on for liking different things. Back when we were kids, you had to choose a lane.
You did.
And I had to stick with it, So I just told you what my favorite stuff was. I'm 14 years old. It's like, fuck, it was all, rock, metal, whatever you want to call it.
I was kind of the same way. I was into all the heavier stuff too growing up. But with him and that in a 14-year-old in this day and age, man, there's so much, like you said, coming at him. And plus, they don't only think about 1984. Think about all the music that came out from 1984 to today. There's billions of songs, great songs. There's thousands of great songs out there. Mm-hmm. So he's got so much to choose from. And he's grown up in a bit of a different household where, dad works in radio. So there's fucking music on all the time in this house. But I've tried to, over the years, be very careful about just only playing, grunge or only playing, heavy shit. I will put everything on. He's exposed to everything. It's been that way from day one. And I don't force him. I don't go, dude, you gotta hear fucking side one from Van Halen 1. I don't do that. I just kind of go, hey, if the song's on and he likes it, I'll talk to him about it, but I won't. I've never forced it. I want him to make his own opinions because it's so easy to go, well, dad likes it, I'm going to like it. I'm like, no, you go fucking like your own shit. You know what I mean? But the last year or two, it's been fun to have him have some music on and he'll be digging it and it's his playlist. And I'll be like, whoa, dude, you listen to that? He's like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm like, well, let me tell you, you know what I mean? So he's like, oh, here comes the encyclopedia lesson, but he listens to so much shit and he's been taking piano. So he's very into jazz. So there's a lot of jazz albums. Like there's Miles Davis, there's Thelonious Monk. There's all that shit coming in on vinyl in the house because I'm getting it because it's good shit. And I'm learning about it. I'm like, whoa, this is really cool shit. So we were listening to the new Foo Fighters album on Friday when it came out. And he loves the Foo Fighters. So that's going to be a band for him. That's going to be when he's 50, he'll be going, I remember when that came out. I think that's an example of what he'll
okay.
learn. And I didn't force feed that on him. It was on, he gravitated towards it. And he's listening to the new song. He's like, oh man, this is cool. And I'm listening to the lyrics because I knew it was all about Taylor and then Dave's mom, right? So it's brutal shit, right? And he goes, and he pops up every once in a while. He goes, hey, they stole that. That's a jazz lick right there. And he's pointing out little chunks of music that's like, oh, well, that's this. And I'm going,
cool.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, right? He's listening to it from all his experience playing the piano and learning to read music and all this shit. He's picking out these little musical moments where I'm just going, oh, it's so sad, man, about Taylor. And he's like looking at me like I'm a dope. We're having a conversation about the music. We're having two different conversations. And it's awesome because I'm learning shit from him. So it's hard to give an example for him, But I think Foo Fighters and shit like that will be one of those bands, I'm pretty sure.
So I was going to save this for final thoughts, but a friend of mine here bought London a book, and it's one of those, I think they call them little golden books where the spine has got that gold foil that we had when we were kids. Those are, believe it or not, those are worth some money now, I guess, the original ones. Now they've continued to make them, and they make a lot of updated ones. Well, my friend Deb over here, she's a big Taylor Swift fan. Taylor Swift has a little golden book, and she bought it for London. So I gave the book to London, and it doesn't mean much to her other than, oh, cool book. There's a girl on the cover. She's making the hand, heart, whatever, so she immediately tries to do that. I don't know if she had not seen the bringing your two hands together to create a heart.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the book didn't, she's like, oh, cool. It's just like a girl. It's very girly looking, so she's down to, read the book. And I said, well, this is Taylor Swift. I go, she's probably the biggest singer in the world right now. And I'm talking to a 5-year-old. I'm like, do you want to hear a couple of her songs? She goes, yeah, put something on. She always is down for watching videos.
That's awesome.
Putting YouTube on the big TV. Now, I'll tell you what. Now, I mean, Taylor Swift, whatever. You can't not know a couple of her songs, And I'm thinking, what's going to be the first thing I play her? And, I'm thinking we're never getting back together. I go, what's that other one? It's like, oh, Shake It Off. I go, man, let me put on Shake It Off. 3 billion views, bro. Okay. I think it's 3.5 billion views. So,
wow.
And we gave it about 4 or 5 more. It was like there was some subliminal message to little girls in that video. And I saw my daughter's eyes light up. It was cool. And I don't care. I'm like you. I don't care, man. I want her to like music. I want her to appreciate all kinds of music. I want her to let her pick what the stuff that she's going to like. If I'm the gateway to Taylor Swift, so be it. By the time I take her to a Taylor Swift concert, it's going to be $1 million a ticket.
Right.
So remember this conversation and you can punch me in the face.
Yeah.
But I saw her flip a little bit. And I saw her kind of bopping her head. And I mean, Shake It Off is so fucking catchy, right?
Yeah, you can't beat that song. You really can't.
And the visuals, and Taylor Swift I don't know if you've ever seen the video. She's being silly in it. And, there's these ballet dancers and she's kind of being the goofball of the group. And it's so relatable. And she's so relatable and seems so cool. And I see why people love her the way that they do. 3 sold out shows here in Houston. 3 nights in a row with the most ridiculous ticket price ever. But to sit back on the couch next to my kid and watch her watch it, it was pretty interesting. She's like, another one, play another one, play another one. And it wasn't. And what I thought was going to happen is play that again. Because that's what I remember. When YouTube was new, Justin Bieber was pretty new, and parents were saying that their kids were listening to Baby, and kids were listening to it 15, 20, 30 times in a row, back to back to back, because they could, because it's right there for them, and it's so easy to do. And I thought she was going to do that, but she said, no, play another one. Wow. We probably went through about six, and then she wanted to hear Shake It Off again, but it was so cool, dude. It was cool. Now, would it have been better if it was the fucking Foo Fighters? Sure. But it was cool, man. But it was like crack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does Taylor Swift have subliminal messages in those videos? Follow me, girls. Stick up for me, girls. I'm here for you, girls. Dude, it was wild.
But that's the secret sauce, though. For some artists, you just have it. You have it. You've got great people around you making the right video, the right everything. Iron Maiden, to go back to them again, the secret sauce is they did all that shit right, apparently. And it worked and works for them. Taylor's just on another fucking level, man. I think that's cool, though, that you're exposing to anything music-wise. I think that's the key. It's like, yeah, again, did you want to go fucking rip into the Number of the Beast right away and go, dude, you got to check this out? Probably not the right move. At 5, she'd be like, no thanks.
Because we got the ABCs of rock. So that's what that was a great thing to kind of get her interested, because she memorized it. She can go through the book. A is AC/DC. Now, does she know AC/DC? No, but she knows A is AC/DC, and B is the Beatles, and C is Coldplay. So Kiss is K, O is Ozzy. So, it's just, you're going through the ABCs and you're associating with these rock bands, and it's, Guns N' Roses and Foo Fighters and Nirvana, they're all in there. And I said, do you want to see a couple of these? And she went right to the girl. She wanted to see Joan Jett. She thought that was cool because there was a picture of a jukebox in there. We have a jukebox. Boom. Love that. And then for some reason, she wanted to see Ozzy. and I put on Bark at the Moon, and she was fucking scared. It's scary.
It's scary.
It's scary. And I'm like, oh my God, this is one of those, hey, don't tell mom. But she wanted to watch it. And I remember I was a little bit older, but how we talk about Kiss, I was afraid of them. I was scared of them, but it was exciting. And she was watching, if you remember Bark at the Moon, it's the Jekyll and Hyde where, you know, he's in the laboratory and he turns into the monster, and probably a little much for a 5-year-old, but
whoops.
But she was into it though. She's kind of looking away, but then she kept going. She couldn't look away. She wanted to see it.
Right. Yeah, no, you exposing the kids. And I remember my daughter too, man. Like I would have music on at the house and she would wander around at 3, 4, 5 years of age and a certain song would come on and she would just stop in her tracks and just start bopping her head, moving. And, you know, at that age, she started getting into certain songs and you're just watching her going, holy shit, you like the Doors or you like this band or you like Kiss or you like, and it's like, she didn't know. And you know, I talk to her now and she's like, she's listening to all kinds of crazy shit now. But for a while, it was all about, we went to Taylor Swift. And this was back before she was this Taylor Swift, where you could actually afford to go. You know what I mean? And it was early on. And I was like, holy shit, this girl is talented. And she was playing, you know, a smaller arena and it was still great. And, you know, and music changes and you hope that happens. But yeah, introducing the kids to music is very fun. And we're very lucky at this age to have kids that you got so much to give them. You know, one day she's going to come walking home going, hey, do you know who the Beatles are? And you're going to be like, fuck, sit down, sit down. Here we go. You know, or, you know, she may come home one day and someone's going to be like, hey, Dad, do you have any Kiss albums? And you're going to your head's going to explode. You're going to be like, take tomorrow off of school. We're not going to bed. Sit down. Here we go. And you're just going to be the greatest ever. You're going to have a fucking whiteboard out drawing maps and shit. Who was in and out of the band over the years.
Here's how we got here. Here's who we got here. And then boom, without this, then this, here's the White Album. And then here's Sergeant. And then everything changed to Sergeant Pepper. And then boom, boom, boom. She's like, Dad, just put the song on. I don't care about your dumb graphs.
And that's where I always try to be careful too, because we have that knowledge and you're in the car and it's like, oh, who is this? Oh, it's this guy. It's Pearl Jam. You know, it's Jeremy. Oh, wow. That's a cool song. It's kind of dark. Well, let me tell you, you know, and then you're like, oh shit, fucking Encyclopedia Brown over here, just spitting.
One of the great things with this coming back with the vinyl is, I mean, sure, I'm sure you could sit there and plug your headphones in and sit and listen to a record, but I'm trying to recreate growing up, like I talked about, that everyone had to hear what you were listening to. So, you know, even when you and I lived together, I've had the jukebox forever.
Yeah.
And the jukebox is just, there's no headphone jack on the jukebox. You put on your songs and now the whole house is listening to your selections on the jukebox. And I'm trying to recreate how that was in my house growing up, how we talked about, you know, we had turns and we all got the side of an album and I would play Kiss and Sue would play the Police or the Who. And then my mom would play, you know, her shit, which turned out to be the greatest music of all time with the Elvis and, you know, and all the stuff that she listened to. And we get up on Saturday morning and I'm like, TV or tunes? What do you want? She's like, tunes. Every Saturday, let's listen to music. Now, I'm a creature. I'll put on the TV news. I'll turn it down. But we go right to the jukebox and then boom, you know, she picks some stuff out. And we listen to music in the house. And I don't know how much that happens. I mean, I know that I'm making an effort to make that happen, that there's music playing in the house, not just on your, you know, in your, you know, your iPhone, in your buds, you know. I want music playing in the house.
Well, it's because it can be shared, and then you can you know, you both have something to talk about. Like I've gotten the same concept, vinyl. I'll buy vinyl now because I know ultimately my kid's gonna get it, and it's gonna be fucking a great collection. But I buy jazz albums. I'll buy crazy shit. I'm not buying stuff I already own. I just won't do that. I'm not gonna buy the fucking Van Halen shit. I've got it on cassette. I've got it on CD. I'm not going to go buy all the vinyl. I'm just not replacing it. I don't give a shit. I want to buy different stuff. So, and what's great about vinyl is you're forced, for better or for worse, to listen to all of it. And what's great for us is I'll always throw on a side during dinner. I'll just walk over, bust out something, throw it down, and we listen. And we're all going to chime in as we're having our conversations over dinner. And then all of a sudden, someone's going to be like, the fuck was that? That was shit. I'm like, that's Tom Jones, dude. Don't you say that. And then I'm like, well, you know what? You're right. That song was kind of shit. That was a filler. Okay, next. And then it's like, oh, I love this tune. And we're all expanding our musical knowledge. The great thing about music, I was thinking about this the other day, is that, you've got your five senses, your sight, your sound, smell, whatever, taste. And there's another one too. Touch, I guess. Right. And
as soon as you started, you went, oh,
like,
fuck.
Oh, fuck. I don't know the five.
God damn it. I'm on the hook to say them all now.
And it's exactly what it was. I was thinking, I'm like, I'm not going to get all five. Am I? What an ass.
I could see the fucking smoke coming out of your ears.
I think I pulled a muscle in my neck coming up with those five. But music, it's not tangible. It's a different feeling. It's a different, and it will create a lot of different emotions, right? Like you'll listen to a piece of music and it might be classical or whatever, and it's fucking sad as shit. And you might be going down the road whistling fucking tunes and birds are chirping, and you put something on, next thing you know, boom. And how'd that happen? Just fucking music. Or you could be having a shit day and crank up some fucking Baby Shark stuff. And you're like, what? Yeah, Baby fucking Shark, dude. Awesome. Music is a whole nother sense in a way. It's a different thing. It hits you in a lot of different ways. And that's what's great about music. Get off my lawn.
And like everything, though, I don't want to force.
Right. Because
it's such a huge part of my life. It's been a huge part of my life. I know for you as well. And obviously, Henry is... You don't got to worry about that.
No, he's in it.
You don't want to push anything where it's just like, you know what, Dad, that's you. That's your thing.
Right.
And so there's always that, not forcing the stuff on. Hey, what you want to turn? We can turn on the TV. Do you want to watch My Little Pony? That's fine. Nah, Dad, let's listen to tunes. Awesome. Awesome choice.
It's so I've gotten very cognizant of the fact that, yes, this is what I do for a living. I know this shit, right? And it's like, he'll say, oh, I like that song. And I will sit there and I will bite the fucking inside of my mouth so hard to not talk and tell him all about it, because it's like, unless he asks specifically, well, what do you know? Have you ever interviewed this band? And it's like, oh, okay, well, let me tell you now. I've really gotten better about not just hammering him with all the facts, because it's like, you know what? That's your discovery as well. The knowledge is sitting here if you want it, but I try to back off a little bit, let him go discover, because he does. He takes off and he's on YouTube and he's listening to shit all the time.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, there's don't think there's going to be personal listening. I mean, the phone, the earbud, that's not going away.
Right.
Okay. There's going to be personal listening, but I also want, like you, side of an album, boom, speakers. I want the house full of music.
Oh, dude, my house, well, when we live together, fucking music, the second you wake up, there's music on till lights out. You know what I mean? Like in my house, front yard, backyard, in the house, upstairs, tunes are on. And it's not necessarily my damn radio station either. I mean, yeah, I'd have that on because I got to know what's going on. But any chance I get to step away, I'm putting different shit on all the time. Yeah. There's always music on. It's just got to be that way. I can't live without it.
Final thought, Jason.
If you had to give up the sense of smell or music?
Smell in a second. I can barely smell now.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I got to come up with a better one of that. Anyway, we'll look that up for next time. Ooh.
What about taste? Taste or the sound of music?
You know what? I would eat a lot more vegetables if I couldn't taste anything. So, yeah, I guess I give up taste too.
Yeah, for sure I would.
Yeah. Now, music. I got to have music. It's like, okay, here's one. Sight, the ability to see or the ability to hear. Boom. That's the one I should have asked. There it is.
Ugh.
That's a horrible question to have to ask somebody. God.
Any final thoughts, sir?
You're not going to answer that one. Okay, I wouldn't either.
Fuck. I don't know. It's like when you were little. Did you ever see an open wheelchair? Maybe you were at an old folks home or something like that, and you get in there and you and your brother or whatever be fucking around.
It's like
my mom was like, get out of there. Like, cool. You don't ever want to be in one of those.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. You're right.
Don't even talk about it. But
fuck out of
if we were fucking around with a wheelchair, my mom would kill us.
Yeah. Yeah, and put you in one. I got you. No, that makes sense, right? Yeah, I got it. Final thought is, hey, listen, driving home from work today, coming towards me, I'm in my lane. There's a guy on a motorcycle, right? Just a straight up, this is not a guy who's got a motorcycle that he's digging. This is his transportation, okay? Real motorcycle, smaller one, the whole thing. This thing is beat up a little bit. This is how this dude's getting to work every day, okay? On the back, behind him, as you would. What do they call that? Riding toad? What is it? Where your arms around the waist and you're sitting on the back, right?
There's riding bitch.
Riding bitch.
Passenger.
Yeah, riding passenger on the back of the motorcycle. All good, right? That's cool.
Some people call it nuts to butts.
And that's probably what it was, because it was probably a 15-year-old kid. Helmet on.
Gotcha.
So safety first, right? And I'm like, hey, look at this guy driving his kid home from school. And I wasn't really paying attention, and I was trying to, not get hit by other cars. And then as he's turning in the lane to come towards me, and he's gonna pass by me. We're face to face in the other lane, right? I look, and there is a kid koala bearing on the front, hugging the dad, sitting nuts to nuts, I guess, if you would.
Highly illegal.
Hugging dad, no fucking helmet. Kid's probably 12.
Are they training for the fucking circus?
And he's got his head cocked to the side so dad can see past him to drive the motorcycle. And I'm like, this is how memes are born. This is how people die. And I'm just looking at it, and so I'm pissed off. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's during the day, right?
It's 5:30 in the afternoon, the highest peak of traffic drive time. So I'm immediately angry, right? I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And then I started going, wait a minute. You don't know if this kid is sick and this is the only way he had to get him to somewhere. You don't know the circumstances. So I'm like, God damn it. I want to be mad as shit at this dude, but he looked like he was struggling, and he looked like he was trying to do the right thing in the worst possible way. And it made me think, like, you know what? You can't get mad right away. And your first instinct is to get pissed off at somebody. And I started sitting there thinking about him, like, this poor bastard. He's in a moment where he made a bad decision, but he's trying to do the right thing. I hope. So it was weird.
I've never seen that, not in this country. I mean, I've seen it elsewhere, like you said, memes and stuff, but I never even in America. That's illegal. That you cannot do.
Not safe. And I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at him, and he's trying. The dude was trying, but it's like, it wasn't there. I don't know. It was fucked up. Fucked up, dude. Anyway, final thoughts, Rod.
2 shows came to an end. No spoilers. But 2 very, very different shows that I got tucked into watching one of them. And then one, I just kind of flipped a coin and I said, okay, I need to watch something. So I picked Succession out of thin air to watch. The other one, Ted Lasso, I kind of got conned into watching from the guys on the show. Alex even bought me a little Apple TV box. He's like, you have to watch Ted Lasso. You're going to love it. Both shows had their series finales. We hadn't talked in a couple of weeks. I went to those shows for very different reasons. Ted Lasso, it just was a feel-good show. It was perfect. Mm-hmm. It wasn't always awesome or great, but I went to that show because I knew that it was just going to put me in a good mood. And Succession gave me so much fucking anxiety. I hated these people so much. I couldn't wait for it to be over. But I guess there was something enough there that I liked it. I went to that show for something very, very different. And now, it wasn't great because Succession I would watch on Sunday nights. And I'm trying to wind down and I got to go back to work and all that. And these horrible people would upset me. And then I'd lay there in bed with my eyes fucking wide open, thinking about it. But I'll say this, nothing more than both shows ended really, really well. And I wasn't let down. And I don't know that I put as much pressure on endings as other people. I thought Game of Thrones was just fine. I really do. I thought it was just fine the way that it ended. But Ted Lasso, I thought it was a really good, satisfying ending. Not the greatest ending of all time. And Succession, I'm very, very satisfied with the ending. And you run that risk of dedicating all that time to a show. And if they fucking just shit in your mouth on the last episode and they leave you like, I had to go to work the day after The Sopranos. I didn't watch that show, but I had to be there the morning after you guys watched what you watched. And that's all people wanted to talk about, all
people were
morning long. And I think people have processed it and they've come to grips with it, now over the years. But let me tell you, when you give yourself to a show for a long, long time and then boom, they just don't kind of get it right. And people felt that way about Game of Thrones. Yeah. I did. But these two pretty big shows, I thought did a really, really good job on their endings.
I did catch up with Ted Lasso and I thought the same thing. I thought it was good. Same thing. You go to it and you're like, this is just going to be kind of cool. There's going to be a message, but they're not going to beat you over the head with it. It's just going to be in there. And, some of it was hit and miss, but overall it was cool. It was funny. It was interesting. It showed a different way that people can live. It's not all fuck you and all you suck. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yes.
You could. And I thought it was very inspiring that way. And hopefully what the message was during that show was, hey, maybe you throw a little bit of that in your day to day, as opposed to just being a miserable oak like me all the time.
It was a really, really good show. It had its ups and downs, even in the 3 short seasons that it had. It wasn't like I hear people talking about Dexter and they went a couple of years with being upset with the way it was going and they still stayed with it. You get in, you do your 3 seasons, there's going to be some spinoff. I'm sure there's going to be a chick team. And Keely is who is my least favorite character on the show. Totally. She'll probably get the spinoff. And that means the owner of the team that, they're probably going to get a chick team. That would be my guess. But yeah, I was you were satisfied with the ending of Ted Lasso?
Well, I think you knew how it was going to end. I did. I think you knew like middle of 2nd season, you're like, well, yeah, this is how it's going to end. This is obvious, and the way they got to it was made sense to me. Yeah, it totally made sense. There was a lot of weird loose ends. I was like, well, why didn't they? Well, how come they? But it wasn't about that. It wasn't that. I think that Jason Sudeikis, who plays Ted Lasso, he was kind of the guy who kind of ran the thing, and they had a vision going into it. We're gonna do 3 seasons. We've got a story arc. That's all we're gonna fucking do. You're gonna ask us to do more, and we're not gonna do it. And they came in with a vision. A lot of times, what happens to these shows is they come in. And they have a great first season, and then they just keep going with it, and it waters down. Like Dexter had that problem, and other shows over the years have had that problem. When you've got that, here's my plan. Here, we're going to start at A, and we're going to end at Z, and this is how we're going to get there. There's not going to be Z 2.0 or nothing like that. This is it. The seasons that have done that, or the shows that have done that, awesome. The short runs, the 3 seasons. Now, we all want more, but it would fuck it up.
I did find it. Now, I don't pick up these things on my own. I need to be told. When I watch TV, I'm like, I am completely unplugged from the world, but I'm not watching it like there's going to be a test afterwards either. So I don't know people's names. After watching 3 seasons, I couldn't tell you like people's names on the show. The next day when I was looking, because then we do have the luxury of going online. Like, okay, what are people saying about it? Am I the only one that thought it was a pretty good ending? And then you start to see, okay, well, here's all of the Easter eggs, all the things that that they did. Did you see all that stuff?
I'm like, I pay attention just enough to kind of be entertained, but I'm not like focused.
Right. So I would like after watching Game of Thrones, they're like, oh my God, when he opened up that book and he read that thing. I don't know what any of that means, I
didn't know who that was.
Correct. But the coolest thing, and it's not a spoiler, but the coolest thing, and I don't know if you had read this or heard about it, or I know you didn't pick up on it, but the old lady at the pub, she adjusts that picture of Geronimo. Mm-hmm. When at the very end of Ted Lasso, I'm feeling good about this discussion because I'm feeling like I'm going to tell you something that you don't know. At the very end of Ted Lasso, they're looking at the shares of like stock. Then there's the 3 guys at the pub, and there's the old lady.
Oh, and, yeah.
Somehow she slaps his hand or something like that, because I don't know if those are the shares or whatever it is. But she looks up and she moves the picture a little bit that's on the wall. It's a Native American, and it's Geronimo. On the last Cheers, Ted Danson walks over to the wall, and it's a nod to Coach. Coach, that was his picture of Geronimo, and he just straightens out the picture a little bit. It's the same picture.
Wow.
George went. Norm is Jason Sudeikis' uncle.
Oh, Jesus.
So they throw it to Cheers, dude, in the bar.
That's freaking awesome.
There's 20 other things like that, but that's the coolest one.
You'd never know that.
Yeah, but just go and look up Geronimo adjust picture, and you'll see the side by side. The old lady moves it. Ted Danson moves it. He doesn't say anything, but everybody knows that was Coach. Because if you remember, Coach was on the show, and then Woody Harrelson took over.
Yeah,
and it was the last show, and it was him saying goodbye to Coach.
Wow.
And he just adjusts. Same picture, dude. And then the fact that Norm is Jason's uncle.
Bizarre, but that's what's
Cheers.
great about that. Those little things. You know that the Cheers bar, the original one, is for sale.
It just sold.
Oh, did it sell? Yeah, I was like, well, since you didn't get the Iron Maiden pinball game, maybe get that bar shipped over, dude. That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Buying any more dumb shit.
We could stand around that and look at all the carved in signatures from all the cast members and shit. That'd be kind of neat.
Can I go to bed now?
I want to talk to you about the Rod Ryan Show Cares store. It's back online.
Yeah.
All new summer merchandise, including t-shirts, koozies, stickers, more. If you don't have a koozie, at least a koozie for when you're chilling with your pals this summer, what are you doing? Your life is not complete until you get a koozie for your drinks. Rod's raising some money, a lot of money, to purchase backpacks for the area kids who obviously need them. He's working again with the Houston Children's Charity, trying to outdo last year. Raising the bar all the time. There's Rod right there, trying to get $101,000 and passing out over 3,500 filled backpacks. Safe, secure shopping now at the world famous Rod Ryan Show page at thebuzz.com.
We sold over $11,000 worth of merchandise this morning in the store.
Jesus, dude.
And then we had
giving away free handies with every purchase or something. What's up?
Right. Dude, these bad boys, how could you say no?
I'm buying 25 shirts right now.
Never done an honest day's work in their lives. You kidding me? Nice and soft.
There's not a list to be found.
$11,000, over 11. It might be around 12 now today in the store. And then a $5,000 angel donation from Ron Hoover RV and Marine of West Houston. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It was a $16,000 day today.
And that's going to buy some serious backpacks, dude. At the end of the day, that's pretty awesome.
Shit's expensive, dude. It used to be $20 for a backpack. Now, just like everything, man, everything's more expensive, and you said it in the spot, the filled backpacks, all that shit, the crayons and the paper and the fucking colored pencils, everything's so much more. It's crazy.
Yeah, it blows. It's just hard. Well, think about how that affects families. You know what I mean? So what you're doing is great, dude. It's awesome. Get your shirt, your cozy, your stickers at thebuzz.com. And if you're a fan of the Play Pants podcast, tell your friends, spread the love. Let them know what's up, man. Let them know that there's two dopes talking about dumb shit once a week, available wherever you get podcasts. It's on the YouTube channel. If you have not watched this thing on YouTube, I'll be honest, you're not missing a whole lot. But if you want to see it, so hit the subscribe button, smash that thing, and then just follow us and you'll get alerted. And then comment on any Iron Maiden songs we missed, anything like that. We love the feedback because we actually do read that sometimes.
I just realized Voodoo was sitting back here the whole time.
Yeah, what is that? I saw the top part of it. What the fuck? It's a great picture.
It's my dog done as a Disney character. I'm like, who is this guy? I don't even recognize my fucking self. I'm like, awesome. I'm never getting a dog. Now I'm fucking commissioning somebody to do a Disney version of Voodoo.
Wow.
The fuck?
What happened to you,
I don't know. Voodoo, you're my best friend.
I love you, man. Well, go on.
You,
what I want you to do before you go to bed is go on eBay and start looking at that Iron Maiden pinball game. I want to find out what's up.
Shit.
See, look what I've done. So yeah.
Know.
All right, we'll talk to you. That's enough. I'm done.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at PlayPantsPod.